Oh, yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled Rochester Downtown Development Authority meeting for Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. Madam Director, the roll, please.
Ben Giovanelli,
Present.
Mayor Vixen, Bob Bloomingdale,
Here.
Tanya Karsten,
Here.
Eric Diana, Lisa Germani Williams,
Here.
Paul Haig,
Here.
Chris Johnson, Roger Knapp,
Yes.
Tony LaPuma,
Here.
Don Sinkowitz, Lisa Swiftney,
Here.
Marilyn Trent.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Fantastic. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for setting aside some of your special time for us this evening so we can do our work for the downtown proper of the city of Rochester. First on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from way back in July 19, 2023. Is there any questions with respect to the minutes, or is there a motion in our future?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Haig to approve as written. Support?
second.
Support by Bloomingdale. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Audience comments. So typically, this is going to be on things that are not on the agenda. So I know we've got some folks in here for very special reasons this evening. But if there's anything comment-wise, feel free to step up to the microphone, state your name and address, and tell us what's going on. All right. Going once? Going twice? All right. Very good. Thank you for that. Sure. Is that better? There you go. All right, time for our liaison reports. Council, Honorable Marilyn Trent, good evening.
Good evening. There were 3 meetings. I'll make it as quick as I can. August 14th, there was a request to consider applying to the Department of Labor and Economic Development, the Opportunity Grant for the Community House. It was granted. We said it's okay to apply for that grant. That was an easy one. Jessica Clauser was approved to be appointed to be on the City Beautiful Commission. There was an opening. We like it when people and residents participate in our city. There was a request for McKenna's proposal to be approved to prepare a revised Parks Master Plan. After it was not approved and was sent back because the cost difference was quite different from 5 years ago. August 28th, there was another city council meeting. The police school liaison officer budget was approved for 2023 and 2024. There was an approved bid for the Huxley Incorporated for 2023 road mill and fill program. On September 11th, a public hearing for the granary special project and site review and boundary modification. They were both approved. And the architectural plans were excellent. I don't know if you all have had a chance to see them, but they are very, very impressive. The building design is a perfect complement to the brick and stonework of the buildings downtown. And they even have a cupola that connects to the old train station, which is just right across the street. The presentation was detailed and all the council members' questions were answered. Consideration of the Smart Municipal Credit Contract of fiscal year 2023 was proposed. I think that was, I think it's just a good consideration, so there didn't have to be an approval. Maybe Nick knows more. I don't know, I missed that.
You said it was approved.
Okay. I went to the Smart Bus Mobility meeting today. People have had a lot of questions about this. There are 2 types of ways they can do this. One of them is called the Flex or Micro Transit Service. You may all have heard of this. It's similar to Uber, and it's a door-to-door service. There are 5, they call them micro transit zones. There are currently 5 of those. They are supposed to have a meeting with the staff the Rochester City staff on October 10 at 10 a.m. to discuss the possible route, is my understanding. That's what they told me. They said that their overall annual ridership is 11 million people. Last but not least, there is a Parks Master Plan Visioning session for Elizabeth Park. You guys have already seen this. It's from 12 to 3. It is drop-in, not 3 hours, so it's drop-in to share your vision, and also there's a QR code for the survey.
Fun. Fantastic. Any questions for our city council liaison? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We appreciate it. Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Swiftney, good evening.
Not as long. Yes. The Chamber of Commerce has their annual Pinnacle Awards coming up on October 6th, and it is going to be at the Rochester Civic Center this year. And the next thing that we have that's coming up that we're going to start working on is the annual Hometown Christmas Parade. So we are looking for sponsors and people who want to volunteer.
That's it? All right, well, that's fantastic.
That's sweet.
Okay.
All right, if you want to give your time for the effort there, that's such a special part of our community, make sure you hit up the chamber and they'll point you in the right direction. Any other questions for our chamber liaison? Seeing none, we shall march forward. Mr. Sinkowitz, good evening.
Good evening.
Historical Commission.
With the Historical Commission, with the meetings, we're out of sync right now. So what I'll do is, next week, we have the Historical Commission meeting. I'll get the notes from that meeting, and I'll forward them on so we can include them in the meeting minutes. From the Heritage Festival, as we talked about in the past, the weather cooperated perfectly. So the families, adults, and children had a great time. We were pleased with the overall attendance, but there's always room for improvement. So we're focused this coming year on increasing that attendance. We really appreciate the generous sponsors for the festival. The two biggest ones are Rochester Historical Commission, the City of Rochester, and of course the Herzingo Fund. With these support year after year, we can continue to have the festival, so that's encouraging. Some of the nonprofit booths that we see return year after year, Musical Shapes, the Astronomical Society, proved to be a crowd drawer. They had perfect weather for it, beautiful blue skies, and you could actually observe the sun through their computers real time. And that was a hit not only with children, but adults, including myself. The focus on shared history will continue at the coming events. We're pleased to see so many families enjoying the performance of all the dancers and also the entertainment provided by the OPC. The Lions Club, their car show, always a big draw, and the big benefit there is the show raises money for the nonprofits in the area. As everyone knows here, the cost continues to rise for everything, the cost for tents, for porta potties. So we're looking at how we can reduce the cost in some cases, and of course with the increased attendance, then we can also afford some of those activities. All in all, the festival broke even, so it didn't lose money, although it didn't make a great deal of money for sure, but it was a very good festival. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for all your efforts in that regard, because that's also one of the key things for our community. Is there any questions for our historical liaison?
I just want to say, Don, it was a great event.
Yeah.
And it did bring a lot of business down into our principal shopping district too.
Good.
So it was a very good event. It's definitely a compliment.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to hear that, because we've discussed that on how to do that, how to get the people from the park into the downtown and vice versa, so.
Well, being only 3.5 square miles lends itself to us being able to do that rather easily, so. Once again, thanks again for the commission's efforts and your guys' efforts in all those events. We appreciate it. Principal Shopping District, Mr. Haig.
Well, the good news is we're still at 98%. We're 99.
97.
97, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it varies a percent. But in occupancy downtown for businesses, and we have a lot of challenges coming up. A lot of businesses going out, a lot of them coming in, and then we have this marijuana challenge, we'll call it that way, okay? I would say that we have a lot of businesses, the Rewald project looks great, okay? It looks good. It looks good on paper, and it looks good otherwise. There's a whole bunch of businesses that are doing very well. I've talked to a number of the businesses, and they're very happy with all the events that Christy runs. And, excuse me, that the DDA runs, okay? And Christie manages everything.
No, we all work for Christie. You were right the first time.
Pretty much.
All right, is there anything else you would add?
Also, the PSD forwarded to Chief George, and now it's going to City Council next week, approvals for both the Kris Kringle Market and for Lanyap. And Lanyap is celebrating its 50th this year. So
And there may be some surprises.
there might be. One thing that, spoiler, we will tell you this one. We are working with a local music group, and they are writing a Christmas song for Rochester. So we've never had one. We thought maybe we should go get one of those. So we're getting one. So we're kind of excited about that. So to be continued, to be written.
Excellent.
But we're super excited about that. So we talked about those few things, and yep, just a lot of updates on all the holiday events coming, which I have some of that in my executive director report, so we can hit that.
Perfect. Anything else? Nope. All right, fantastic. Any questions for our PSD liaison? Insects. All right, seeing none, we shall march forward. Been looking forward to this one for a while. So the presentation of the Bill LaPuma Community Spirit Award recipients. Mr. Vice Chair Tony LaPuma, take it away.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to say the same thing I said last year. This is quite an honor to my dad and to our family. I said, we are so lucky to be part of a town like this. I mean, and it's the winners of this award this year that really makes this town what it is. So let's get this show on the road. Chris, you want me to do one at a time like we
Yes.
did last year? Okay.
Yes.
The first winner is Paul Haig, my buddy Paul Haig. Paul has been in business for 50 years in downtown Rochester. Over the years, he has been a leader actively involved in supporting community events and organizations, including Paint Creek Center for the Arts, Leader Dogs for the Blind, Neighborhood House, OPC, and Rochester Rotary, just to name a few. He is a long-serving member of the DDA board, also acting as the DDA's PSD board liaison and Business Development Committee chair. Every year, he does a little something extra with his amazing holiday decorations on his building during the Big Bright Light Show. Paul is generous with both his time and talents, always being the first to offer creative ideas and solutions. Our community is better because Paul is a part of it. Paul, you remind me so much of my dad, the way you run your business, the way you keep your property up. Just like him, you are so proud to be part of this city. Thank you for everything you do for our community.
Well, you're welcome. This community has done so much for me. And you know something, I came to Rochester and I stayed. I'd lived in like 8 different places, but I decided that Rochester was the place I wanted to settle, and I'm very happy I did, because I always want to be here. And I always want to have the new things going on, and she keeps everything going all the time. I mean, there's just always something new. This place does not slow down, and I'm proud of it.
Here you go, Paul.
We do the official photos now, or?
While we wait till we do the second award, and then we
Okay.
can do it all
All right, very
at one
good.
time, so we don't all have to keep getting up and down.
Okay, the next winner is Linda Ray. Linda has a passion and desire to share what a wonderful community Rochester has become. For the last 45 years, she has embodied serving, loving, and supporting the greater Rochester community. Linda is a constant supporter of downtown events, including Movies in the Moonlight, Trick or Treat Downtown and Halloween Fest, Festival Trees, and many more. She is also committed to supporting the local businesses, featuring them on her social media channels, as well as creating creative partnerships to promote their products and services. Linda and her family are part of the fabric of our community, and we are fortunate they call Rochester home. I hear so often, if something is needed in our community, you are always there to help. You are such an important part of the city, and it's people like you that make our community what it is.
And I give so easily, but I receive so bad.
Well, come on up and receive this one, because
I'm working on that. You know, it's really easy to give to people here in this town because it's fantastic.
Congratulations.
Are you gonna stand with me over there too, Mr. Mag?
Oh, we
Yeah, of course.
we got lots of pictures.
we'll do the team photo.
Is this our best spot
My dear
here?
wife's going to come up, too.
No, you usually do it right here,
There you go.
in the center.
Yeah, come on in the center, let's do it
But
official.
I think I'm gonna get out of the way.
We'll see if we're in the line, we're not in the line of fire yet. I might, you might.
Squeeze myself up there.
All right, Diane, you get yours first, and then I.
This is beautiful, thank you.
Nice, very
Now,
nice.
come on up here.
I'm waiting for all the family photos, let me get, we'll get ours here.
I was never able to look at, so.
All right, look at me for right now, because we're gonna need this for the, hang on, let me get a few.
Hot dogs.
I just went with something like a hot dog.
Always laugh when you say color.
Okay,
All right, we good?
all right.
Absolutely, congratulations.
Yay.
Here, somebody grab this.
You
It's Lisa. It's
Hi.
Lisa. Make it a stand.
Okay.
Here, right here, Lisa.
I think they're still taking pictures.
That's okay. Always amazing, yeah, I should do this thing.
Wait for me.
Wait. It's always that, I always get yelled at by my wife for smiling when I'm behind the camera.
I couldn't see that part.
One of the reasons, one of the reasons I can do what I do is my wife all the time and actually is involved in organizing.
Looks like she's ready to go travel.
The Director of Operations.
I know.
There we go, Linda, here's your phone.
Oh, thank you.
You don't have to just throw that in the car. Yes.
Thank you, guys.
She's being really nice. Of course.
Well, the both of you, actually, words aren't even necessary because the value to this community that the both of you had over the, dare I say, decades. But it's true. And, we wouldn't be who we are or where we are or what we are without you two. So thank you for everything you've done for us. We appreciate it. Anybody else we're giving awards out to, Tony, or is that it?
Yours is coming.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, no, I'm good. All right, very good. With that, let's move on to the boring stuff. City and Economic Development Update, Mr. City Manager.
I don't think anyone's ever called Nick boring.
That's not boring.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, this is true. No. So,
I can bore it down.
So to tee this up, so there's a few things we sort of asked Nick to update us on, and one has sort of come to the fore rather quickly. So my wife and I were down in Clemson this last weekend for my youngest son is away at college, and it was Parents' Weekend. So I came home, and I had this in the mail. So a little survey asking me if I like weed or other. So I'm like, all right, well, what is that all about? So so a couple things I want to set the table before we start this discussion. First of all, everybody on this board is an unpaid volunteer. We are up here because we are landowners or business owners, or both, in the downtown, and our job is to advocate for the downtown. We're not elected officials, we're not whatever. The only rules we have against, sort of the ballot proposals in general is just a state rule that you can't use taxpayer dollars to advocate one way or the other for a proposal. So, what we can do is increase the transparency, step up the politeness, as it were. So we're going to exercise, all of those things in that regard. So I guess maybe would it be easier for me to say what I think is going on? You can tell me if I'm wrong?
That's fine.
All right, very good. So I guess, when did the date have to pass for them to get it on the ballot? It
2
was
weeks ago Thursday.
Gotcha. All right. So an outside organization, which I was on city council for 12 years, so I know how this game's played. All right. So an outside organization called Open Stores Rochester Committee went out and got a bunch of signatures. We went through, the clerk, as she does with every ballot, or every initiative, goes through and validates the signatures, and indeed they did come up with enough signatures to put this thing on the ballot. 2 proposals, one of which is to allow up to 3 locations in the city of Rochester for retail weed stores, and the second is the
Ordinance.
the ordinance itself, right. So both of them, it's you can't have one without the other. So if it's either yes or no, sort of an up or down idea here. So this outside organization, who I went today and looked on the state website and on the county website, they're not registered anywhere, so they're actually in a legal committee operating, they're not registered. So I guess that's, if you're trying to get on somebody's good side, operating sort of under the radar and illegally is probably not the best foot forward, but, who am I? But that said, is they want to they picked us, first of all, because we're only 13,000 people. And the threshold was very low for them to get something put on the ballot. So we're centrally located, and because we're a low population, there were almost like 500-something signatures. I forget what the number was, super low. So they were able to get that and get it on the ballot. So their goal is to get 3 retail locations in the DDA to put the House of Dank or whatever it's going to be. One, and I actually, we know of 3. We don't. There actually may be more. Is that true?
Yes.
All right, very good. So the 3 locations which have been given, is it like 10 grand or 100 grand they got each? So from what I understand, it's $100,000 each have been given to the property owners of Bangkok Cuisine, Sound Advantage, and Rochester Chiropractic Clinic to put retail cannabis stores in. So basically, we've got a weed store going in next to Dairy Queen, which is, I can't think of a single thing that could go wrong with respect to that. So there's that. So your ideas and thoughts about the whole cannabis and weed in general, sort of notwithstanding, I really don't care about that. I mean, I do, but I don't care about that because that's not what our concern is. It's really what impact does it have on downtown, and what will it do to the overall progress of the downtown in the city of Rochester as it is. So my take and my understanding of it is that the biggest thing we have to worry about is traffic flow. So I'll pick on the place next door to Dairy Queen because that's where we all go. So, you're there with your family, you're having a hot fudge banana split sundae, and then people are rolling in and out of the weed store next door. Like I said, I can't think of a single thing that could go wrong there. The traffic, as I understand it, it's massive, the flow in and out. So the bottom line is that some out-of-state or out-of-area organization picked us because we were low-hanging fruit. We were easy because they could get on the ballot quick. They're very well moneyed. Once they come in and they, sprinkle some cash around, they get in and then they start, their business. And of course, it's very lucrative. So, I don't know if anybody's had the opportunity to drive north on I-75, but it's literally the weed gauntlet. So just in my mind, as soon as I saw this, my first thought is, aside from everything else, is that the last thing I want to do is to have, Main Street and Rochester turn into the weed gauntlet. People from outside of our community are coming in here to start businesses. Fine, that's great. Problem is that what they're bringing in, they're also bringing in people that are generally not going to be from our community. Quick in, quick out, heavy traffic. So the one thing that was on here, and tell me if I misunderstood this one. So they have this part on their survey about tax revenue, and it's true. It's like up to 180 grand. It's $60,000 a throw, right? So if you can imagine, so first of all, what ends up happening is these organizations identify communities that are in financial dire straits, and they specifically target those to go into. I don't know the last time you guys checked our budget, but, $180,000 isn't even, going to move the needle for us. So not sure they did their homework entirely on that one. But I will say that given what I know about the increased traffic levels and sort of the disturbance of the community at large, one police officer outfitted with a vehicle and equipment is going to easily take that $180,000. So once you get to compliance costs, it's going to be far in excess. But that said, that's the other side that you don't see, right? So, and I understand that, it's perfectly legal in the state of Michigan, although it's illegal federally, that, these things we have to sort of walk by the letter of the law. But, as far as my take is that, as, volunteer stewards of the downtown, it's our job to advocate for downtown. So there's 3 things that I'd like to accomplish this evening, and we'll let Nick do his thing. But I'd like to sort of make sure that we're clear on this one and see if I missed anything. So Nick, of course, will be will straighten me out, as he always does. The second thing I'd like to do is we want to increase the exposure so everybody sort of knows what's going on. So if I understand correctly, these 3 locations, it's common public knowledge that's been disclosed that this is happening. So I think it's important that everybody knows where these locations are at. So I'd like us to put up signs in our right-of-way, that indicate this is a proposed cannabis retail facility. So we can talk about that. So there's that part. And then the second thing I want to get at is to figure out what options we have with respect to our 501c3. Can I use that funding to, or can we use that funding to, advocate on things? It's like, it's outside money. It's not tax money being contributed to it, so can I spend it? I don't know the answer to that question, but that's one thing I'd like to get clarified from the city attorney. So with that, Mr. Manager.
Yep, so, pretty good.
Pretty good.
There's different reasons why they came to Rochester. We met with the three biggest, Jeremy and I met with the three largest, I'm gonna say, and most successful operators of dispensaries in Metro Detroit, which is Puff, Live, and Joyology. They're in Lake Orion and Utica. So those folks were straight up good businessmen. They came in and we had a good conversation, educated us a lot. And then Glenn Wilhelm from the Roxy, he also has a dispensary and a half kind of in Roma. So he's very educated. He has a grow operation and processing. He's been in the business for years. So we got the best minds that are in this industry, and their attorneys came in to talk about it. So process is probably the most important thing. If in fact the voters pass this on November 9th, then we have, then there's a certification process that Leanne goes through at the county. That could take 10 days, 2 weeks. When that is certified at the county that the election is done, then the clock starts ticking. There's 30 days that there's 14 days that anybody can apply for the 3 licenses. Forget the 3 that we talked about. I'll explain that in a minute. Anybody can come in and say, I want a license. And in the ordinance that people are gonna vote on, it talks about in order for you to apply for that license, you must meet the following. Anybody that would apply would be smart enough to meet all the criteria. There's the Cannabis Regulatory Authority in Lansing. They've been established since 2018. If you're in good standing with them since 2018, you get points. It's a point system. Helps the city council, so our 7 council people will be the ones that have to give out that license if it's approved. Much like we just did with liquor. So when the census came in this year, we got 1 extra free liquor license. So a bunch of people applied for that liquor license, and we ended up, then they vetted, they went through the criteria, who will make the best use of that, because once you get that, it's worth a lot of money, and you can transfer it. So Glenn Wilhelm actually got it at the Roxy. Patty from Brown Iron Brewery was trying to get it, but she hadn't secured a location for sure yet. So that was given out. So much like that, there's value, I'm not gonna say how much, but a lot of value to these 3 licenses. So there's a criteria. You have to be in good standing. You have to be registered with these people. And then it talks about experience and your police record, and you pass all that stuff. We're assuming the big boys, we're gonna call them, all will pass that. So then you can't just put them in a hat and draw it out. So the council has to make some decision on those 3. There's a tie break there. If you get extra points, like 25 points of the 100, if you already had a pre-existing lease signed before 2 weeks ago Thursday. So those are the 3. So technically there's 4, but 2 different partners each applied at Bangkok. So in theory, they've got 2 that could go into Bangkok, so they're covering their bases. Then the independents were up, Jars, and the guy that's, I think Joyology got the sound system and the chiropractor. Again, what they paid them, that's their business, but they're tied up. That does not mean that's where they're going. They have a dibs on those, but they would have to meet the threshold of the city evaluate. Is there enough parking? How's the traffic, all that stuff. So we can go through a normal planning process like we would with any other retailer. What we can't do as a city is say no. So if the voters voted in, the ordinance is very clear. You treat them like any other retailer. Whether you're selling candy or cards or jewelry or whatever you're selling, it's the exact same thing. Alcohol, cigarette, doesn't matter. It's just 1 to 200. So for every gross square foot of the building, new or existing, you calculate the parking. If they meet that, great. If they don't, north of Main, it's gonna be probably an issue because they have to provide that parking. Both of those sites have deep lots, so they could build another parking lot. That would have to go to the planning commission. That would have to go to MDOT. So it's not just a slam dunk at this point. The easiest thing would be in the core, we should just go into a retail store and say, I'm going in, I'm grandfathered in on parking, and you could go there. But none of those letters of intent that we know of are signed. They could have letters of intent. Some people say there are some out there, and other businesses don't know about it. I've talked to a lot of business owners, and no one said they've signed the letter. Again, doesn't guarantee they get a spot, but when they come in and make their application and they can say, I have a lease, I didn't get it in on time, so I don't get the 25 points, but I have this lease, so we will see. So 14 days, everybody applies, stop, 30 days for the city council to give those out. That's a wicked short period of time. Now, it says you must treat them the same as everybody else, and you can't throw roadblocks at them, but if they would have to go to the planning commission, because they're changing the look of the building, the use of the building, that's normal. So they would have to get in the queue. Planning commission takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on what the project is. So, we'll play that out as it goes through. The key for us is making sure city council has the right, cadence and the right, they treat everybody the same when they evaluate those, because everybody's warned us, if 10 apply and only 3 get it, the other 7 are gonna sue you. And most underserved communities that could use the revenue, basically Highland Park, Center Point, Centerline, I think they've caved in and just say, we're not gonna go on this lawsuit because they have massive amounts of money. And they will sue you individually, which could take 2 years in court. Most cities, the little cities they've done this in have caved in. Up north, they caved in. And they say, just have 10, we don't care. All right, so that's that, we'll deal with that. Now, the way the money, so that survey that went out is pretty much factual. So how it works is, I'm gonna just give a general example. If there were 100 dispensaries in the state of Michigan, what they do is they take, and your city had 3, you take 3/100ths, 3% of the money that's created from the dollars that they put in to have a dispensary in the state, and then they divvy that up purely by percentage. So we would get 3% of the pot. This year, each location was worth $58,595. So do 3 times that, there's your $180,000. So if more sales go in and more stores go in, pot gets bigger. It's probably not gonna get much bigger than that. It's not based on the volume you do in each store. What we've been told is this location will do 5 times more than any other, because we're centrally located in Oakland County. You don't have to drive to Utica. Lake Orion's got 3 at least. Shelby's got them. They're all over the place. And they're gonna kind of cannibalize, and they admit it, off themselves. So if it got in Rochester, people aren't gonna drive all the way to Utica to Puff. They'll come here because it's closer. So again, that doesn't get us any more money. Yes, the state gets the cut, the county gets the cut. What they said is true. They talk about they're very benevolent because they're huge amounts of money per month that they make. They sponsor events all over Metro Detroit. That industry's pretty much so far stayed kind of low. It's if you go to a Oktoberfest, you're gonna see Bud Light and Coors Light and all these, out there up front. They're kind of laying low, but they're sponsoring a lot of community events because they make so much money. So the good news is this does not allow for grow or processing. That is the smelly part of the business. I haven't been in a dispensary yet, but we're gonna go so we can say that we know what we're talking about. Evidently, if you go into one, you don't smell it. They have all kinds of equipment. Again, I can't advocate one way or another, but facts are, you walk in the door at all these ATMs, because it's cash only, cameras tied to the state police, swipe your identification, you're in a system, go into your business, come out. They say it's about 20-25 minutes per transaction. Even our own people are cognizant, the operators, that traffic's an issue here. Mm-hmm. We don't have the road to put them on. So from our research, between 1,200 to up to 2,000 people a day go to each dispensary between the hours of 9 and midnight. So you do the math on that, 3 of those times, even if it was 1,000. As an economic development guy, I'm like, great, bring the people into town at a 22-minute
Slot.
Yeah, they're gonna be in and out. So if they were in a spot by the parking structures, guess what that is? 1 hour free. You go in, you come out. The whole parking system is messed up. So everybody's more concerned right about traffic and parking than our opinion on whether marijuana is good or not.
So
They said their
Chick-fil-A on
average
steroids.
Yeah, they said their average age now is 55 to 72. It's the edibles that people are using for cancer and for I can't sleep and autism, all kinds of things it's used for. So it's not how we're all used to what we think of. That's why they target these cities. Guess what? Our population is a little bit older. We're right in their window of who their clients are. So we'll see. We'll be prepared. City council will be prepared if it happens. We will make sure we if we get sued, we get sued. There's nothing we can do about it, but we will make sure that we're as sue-proof as possible because we'll do the right thing and treat them with respect and not be adversarial. It's usually the ones that aren't that experienced are the ones that come in hard at you. The four that we talk to, they're business people. They've been doing it for 6 years and they know what they're doing. So, stay tuned. We can't, the city, anybody in city council can't use, like Ben said, taxpayer dollars for anything. We just give out the facts. If you go on our website, full transparency, we put both ballot initiatives on there. There's handouts. We're allowed to educate the voter
Right.
without giving an opinion, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna do
we
the
want
same
everybody to know what they're signing up for one way or another. They can make their own decision.
Right.
So we're pretty good about that so
Yeah,
far.
I think, so from our perspective, and, you know, we'll open this up to the full board for discussion. From our perspective, at least from my perspective, we're in lockstep. You know, our job is to advocate for downtown and the things that we think are going to affect it, and be as open and fair and whatever, and just let the chips sort of fall where they may. But what I don't want to have happen is have it sort of be this one-sided discussion, right? Because the other side, there's a lot of downside to it. So just doing math. So what I've read, sort of industry stuff, is every store generates between $1.2 and $1.5 million a month.
Correct.
In revenue. That's, if you figure, average transaction's $80, so you start to do math, it runs to be about 15,000 cars per month per store, 500 cars per day. And then, so, I mean, I can only imagine all that nonsense happening sort of north right now where that road is not great to begin with. And then moving in. And then secondarily, you didn't want to say a number, but I know that those licenses are far in excess of 7 figures once they're issued. So, this 180 is just like, you know, it's nothing, because these guys are making bank, and they know it. And that's why they don't care about cannibalizing from Utica or wherever else, because, you know, they're going to pick up a little bit of clientele, they'll lose some of the other one, but their net is gain, you know. But yeah, you know, it's not the sloppy industry that it was way back in the day. These guys, especially the heavy hitters, are very buttoned up, very professional, and I've actually worked with them. They were having a hard time getting banked forever. I think actually still may, I don't know.
Now they can. The state changed a little while ago that if you are a credit union that only does business in Michigan, they can take the cash now.
Gotcha, okay.
And there's rules, but.
Yeah.
they can do that.
So, you know, so really what it boils down to is making sure that all of the information's out there for everybody. And then our job as advocates for downtown is that evaluating this sort of on its merits, right? What does this do for the downtown? Will it improve the downtown, or will it make it worse? You know, I'm not one to advocate, you know, going to the crossroads and selling my soul to the devil so I can learn how to play guitar, right? So the fact that this money is going to come in, whatever, I mean, I don't say we don't need it, but, you know, it's not like we're, although, you know, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, don't go there.
Yeah, no, I'm just teasing. No, but in all honesty, you know, we are going to tread that, but we are private citizens on a volunteer committee, and our job is to advocate for our downtown. So within that framework, don't feel like you can't say what's on your mind with respect to this, because you can't. You know, we didn't sign away our rights to come up here and serve as volunteers in this committee. Now, I'm not going to say, let's go ahead and start spending, you know, budget money on, you know, a position one way or the other. But I will say that we will do what we can to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. So, and it's unfair. I mean, it's fair and it's balanced and everything else. So with that, I know you got other stuff, economic development. I want to let's do this one first, and then we'll get to that. So I'll open it up to the board proper for discussion. So whoever wants to speak, have at it.
Will you repeat how many people will be in town between 9 p.m. and what?
Midnight. Puff just changed theirs to 9 to 10. I just saw that. I heard it on the radio, actually. But based on everybody's average, it's between 1,200, 2,000. The one in Romeo, 2,500 people a day. A day.
Now, that's at 9 in the morning until 10 at night?
So they're out there till midnight, but most of them will cut it back to 10 o'clock. So safely say at least 1,000 people a day.
Nick, now, for these businesses, it's commercial zoning they need, right?
Correct. B1 or CBD, which is basically our whole corridor.
Yeah, I see what you did there, CBD.
Because last week I told my wife, I want to go to a dispensary. Mm-hmm. So we went to the one on Dutton Road, I think it was Joyology. Yeah. And I sat, you know what scares me? It's not just the people in this area that's gonna be, I mean, you see the people getting out of their cars, you'll say, oh my Lord. I mean, it's a different group of people. I just wish they would, like how they put that store in an industrial area. It would be nice if we could some way get them off, but you said we can't do it. Get them on the industrial, or in South Street, to keep them out of this town.
So there's some communities, if they thought they were at risk, if they had opted out and they thought, we're gonna get this jammed down our throat at some point, not a lot, but a few have got ahead of it and said, we're gonna write our own ordinance, pray we don't get sued, and then pick where we want them. I'll just make something up. Rochester Hills is a giant city. They have land tucked back off of roads. They have special they have special zoning, et cetera, that you could hide that. I talked to my guys in Southfield today, and they have only two in the whole city of Southfield. You would think there'd be a lot more, and they're one's at the edge of Northland, and one's at 12 and Telegraph in a little store. So they decided to allow, but they kind of picked where it could go. In this ordinance, it says you can't be within, I think, 500 or 800 feet of a school, K through 12, not a kindergarten. We have no schools in the city technically, so it doesn't help us at all. But liquor, it's churches. By having churches, that blocked a lot of liquor locations. They were very clever not to say churches. So it's just about the kids, right? So it's school. So they were clever to write it that way. But, so if we even wanted to get ahead of this, it would take about 120 days, 150 days to get an ordinance through Planning Commission, City Council, get adopted, get it regulated, or up to the state, all that good stuff. We didn't have enough time when they brought everything in. Even if we did, I'll challenge anybody here. You tell me a good spot in town that can take, let's say, 2,000 cars a day. You can't put it on South Street. That's a 2-lane road with no sidewalks. Can't retail down there. You have to rezone it. And then where do you go? You go up into Bloomer and to John R. That doesn't work. That's our only industrial. Solaronics, they can't even get approved apartments on low and Woodward, let alone 2,000 cars a day. So forget that one. So go down University. People had said Tide looks like it could be something like that. Make a left or in or out of that road there. Not a good spot. North Main, skinny little lanes, sitting in a left turn lane. There is not a good spot for that. It'd be like putting 3 Chick-fil-A's in this town. We can't, it doesn't work for us. We just don't have the infrastructure to do it. We talked about on Diversion and Mill Street. Nothing connects. That's a private road getting to Mill Street. You can't get down there. So as a planner, I thought, if we're gonna get stuck with this, let's try to find it's not easy to find a place here that you would not affect the neighborhoods or Main Street. Traffic, I'm just talking traffic, forget the concept of it. Anything that generated that much traffic, there's a huge problem. MDOT will look at turning moves if they get a shot at it. If these guys could go in, anybody could go in North Main and say, I have enough parking exactly like it is, I'm just painting the building, don't have to go to Planning Commission, we get no say in left turns or anything. MDOT can't stop an existing business just because they change tenants. So I'd like to get ahead of it, but we thought about it, but there's no place to do it. So with the hookah shops, it was easier. We didn't want them on Main Street. We made it so you can get one down off of Walnut and 2nd Street or something that it doesn't even work. So this isn't that easy because it's general retail. That's the problem.
So what if the voters shoot it down? Then do we have
They can't
time?
come- yes, but now you have 2 theories there. You have 2 years before they can come back.
So can you change the ordinance to
We
protect
could.
ourselves?
So if we saw it past 51, that lost 51 to 49, and the city was like, it's gonna come someday. Either the feds are gonna actually take off the marijuana, it's not illegal anymore, then how do you regulate something that's not illegal? Then it's just a store, right?
Free from.
There's still the gray area there for some people, but, so we would, at that time, we could start looking at, is there a place we could put it? And again, I challenge us, why does it have to be here? Why? We just don't have, we can't put a Chick-fil-A here, we just never would. So that's how I keep saying that, and I love Chick-fil-A, but, it's the traffic's just brutal. They can't even get one approved at the light down by the Lowe's. MDOT will not approve Chick-fil-A at the light at Lowe's. They're the ones killing it, not Rochester Hills. They've turned them down, I think, 4, 5, or 6 times. They stack 80 people on their own site, still won't give it to them. MDOT won't. So I gotta believe they're gonna be consistent in how they treat their road.
We were in the restaurant, everyone's talking about this now.
Oh, sure.
And someone told me today, I don't know if it's true or not, but in Oxford, they're gonna have 12 dispensaries, 2 more are being built. And they said it's a 2-light city, and they're gonna have 12 dispensaries in that little town. And like you said, they probably need the money. The city needs the money.
I don't, yeah, well, I don't know how, yeah, maybe they, I don't know that, but yeah.
Well,
That's a lot. I mean, I think, Hazel Park just got their 11th one.
so, I'm sorry, go ahead. No,
Just to clarify, you're saying that,
move the microphone towards you because we're going to get.
yeah, just to clarify that you're saying that it's coming eventually, is
No,
what
well,
you're thinking,
I don't
or
know,
no?
but the
It's just
natural,
looking
you would
at
think it is.
yeah, that it could.
Eventually.
Okay, yeah, I mean, make it, okay, doing the
Yeah.
math.
So
But
just,
it doesn't change the math, though, whenever it
doesn't.
comes, whether it's now or 15
Well, I
years
get-
from now, we've only got enough real estate.
Exactly,
you know,
right, I get
It's 3.5
it.
square miles.
I just hadn't heard the.
Where we're going to
that-
put all this stuff at.
You know what the place would have been perfect was Chief Financial, before they get to town.
The Rochester hillside.
You know what I mean?
Lisa, go ahead.
Is that Rochester?
Yeah, no, we're going to
City
send all of our
manager.
deer, all of the deer and the
Parking
weed
lot's in
stores
here.
go to Rochester Hills.
You mentioned 3 locations, Bangkok Cuisine, Rochester Chiropractic, and the Sound. So one of those 3 or all 3? Can you just clarify?
so actually 4 put in letters, but 2 were in Bangkok. So in theory, if they both got 2 they could put 2 of them in one building if they wanted to, because they're 2 different operators. They both picked the same site. You figure out the math why they did that, because what they got to sign. So, but the other 2 are independent, one's Jars and one's Puff.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's Puff.
So, like Nick said, having those leases gives you points
Yeah,
as you're
towards
starting to
the
apply.
100.
That's why they went ahead and did it before. I mean, these guys they're professionals, and they know what it takes, and they know how to work the system. So that's, you know,
And the funny part is, what we found interesting is the people from open stores, they don't run dispensaries. They tie up property. This is very clever, so I won't say his name, but there's a big attorney that's got all the money. So he is the head of this whole thing. He goes in and you do the math. If they gave people 100,000 top to last and it doesn't go through, that's non-refundable money. So that's just money they're throwing out there. So his group does not run dispensaries. They just tie up the property. Then when everybody gets their licenses, then they have to go to him and say, I've got the lease, and they upcharge. We were told that the 2 that have dealt with him, it's $1 million just to get the license from him. And we gave him the license for free. So somebody makes $1 million just out of the gate and doesn't even operate a dispensary. Interesting. So this is heavy, heavy business.
yeah, it's definitely the wild, wild west. Sure, you come on up. You're going to have to come to the microphone so folks can hear you. Don't want to get yelled at.
Hello, Mark Sarah. I was just wondering, what does it take to pass when they vote in November, to pass or defeat? What would be on the, does anybody know that? or-
Filling out the form and answering yes or no on the 2 ballot proposals.
Well, I mean, a certain amount of voters?
Is it the
or-
majority?
Is it majority?
I mean, it's simple majority. So this election coming up is an off-year election, so it's typically not, super well attended, right? So that's another reason why they picked this, is because they know that they don't have to appeal to so many people to ram it through. There's a lot of things that were done specifically because the timing is why they wanted it to be this timing, and it's here because of the numbers. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but yeah.
Simple majority, okay.
Yeah.
And then regarding publicizing what's going on,
Right.
since you say it's not a big vote.
Yeah.
Who handles that, or is it just the citizens?
So,
or
yeah,
how
it's
does that-
basically just citizens. So typically what ends up happening in a ballot initiative is you form a committee. So the committee, the alleged committee that sent this survey out, which doesn't exist, Open Stores and Rochester Committee, you're supposed to go and file with the state of Michigan, and it's a PAC, it's a political action committee. You have to register who the officers are, and you have to list the donations. I think it's over $100. Anybody that donates more than $100, you have to list your name, what you do for a living. I mean, it's on purpose. We want transparency. So these guys have not done that, or if they have, it's not registered with the state of Michigan. I don't know what state they're registered, but it's not Rochester, Michigan. But from that, then that gives voters some transparency or some insight as to what the organization is or who's behind it. When nobody registers for these things and they're sort of gray and vague, it's, at least for me, I was on council for 12 years, and you have to have a committee. All of us had to have a committee in order to run for office. All your funds come in, it says who the treasurer is, all this other stuff. So what's going on, I think, behind the scenes right now is that this survey kind of woke everybody up.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of activity going on behind the scenes. And in point of fact, right now at this exact time over at Andy Sackmar's place, there's a meeting going on with respect to this particular initiative. It's just citizens trying to answer the same questions that you're asking. So us as a board, we can deal with it as individuals, but, you know, we're going to advocate for the downtown and what's right for the downtown. We can't, as I said earlier, spend tax dollars to say, is this great or this is the worst thing ever? But we can kind of educate people as to what the impact is.
So as a citizen, what could we do if we were against this?
Work with your friends and neighbors and share how you feel about it. And the best thing really is getting armed with facts. So I think that's what's going on right now is we're trying to, you know, make sure everybody knows both sides of the thing and then make an informed decision. That's what elections are all about, right? I think, you know, at least, and I don't think we're quite done with the debate up here, but at least from my perspective, traffic has been a constant issue before the weed stores even came along. It's just been constant. And now with this, it's just that issue on steroids. So we have to deal with it.
If it were to pass, are you guys able to say no because of, like, again, we love Chick-fil-A, but hey, it just doesn't work because of traffic? Or
We don't own MDOT. We don't own Main Street. MDOT does. So that's why we can't close it down. One day we got to close it down for Christmas, the Christmas caroling. So we can't, they own it, they dictate it. So if there was something, as Nick had alluded to earlier, that MDOT says this is going to cause issues, then that could be answering your question. But it's not anything we can do, I don't think, correct?
Yeah, and I would say, as a planner.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mark, before you go up for the minutes, I need your last name and your address.
Oh, yeah. Last name is Sera, S-E-R-A. Address is 55 Perrydale Street, Rochester Hills, 48306.
Thank you.
Awesome,
Okay,
thank
go ahead,
you.
Nick, sorry.
That's okay. So, I don't think MDOT can say you can't go on that road. What they would probably do is say no lefts in, no lefts out. Right in, right out. You can get anywhere in on a right in and a right out. So it won't be the volume, because as long as you're on your own property, coming out, you're stacking on your own property. Coming in right, again, if there was 1,000 people in line, the one in Utica backs up 59. So,
Oh, my gosh.
just so does Chick-fil-A. So I mean, it's kind of it's up to them, but, you do the 150 cars an hour, if that's what it came out to. That's not gonna back up universe, but just for safety's sake, if we get a shot at it, we will make sure MDOT looks at the traffic movements. We'll make them do a traffic study to show where they think the people coming from, how many per hour, rush hour, all that good stuff, so.
So the moral of the story here is if it doesn't pass, we have time, they have 2 years to come back, and we have some time to try and.
If we wanted to deal with it, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I agree that at some point, I mean, it's, you know, there's gonna be enough communities that want it, they're gonna go ahead and, you know, the feds are just gonna drop it, right? So our role, while there's trickery going on the other side, we're starting to figure out ways to kind of work within the system too. So I think that actually cuts both ways.
Yeah, well, I would say this though, again, as a planner, if we don't pass it, 2 years goes by and everybody around us has it, then we're not as desirable, because if we literally have problems with traffic movement, why would you go to a place when you can just go across to Rochester Hills or Shelby or North and go there and not have traffic problems? So we will never approve a Chick-fil-A. I'm sorry to pick on them, again, we love them, but because of the volume, that's never gonna change. But the more stores around us, the less of a target we are, because we're not a great location to get to and out of, and we have paid parking. Even if it's an hour, it's still paid parking, and you have to find a parking spot. So if you came to town during lineup, you think you're gonna find a spot to run in for 20 minutes? No.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what's gonna happen is if that does happen and we all of a sudden stop giving the free hour, everybody else is gonna get pissed because, you know.
Right, so everybody
but we
else
can't do
suffers
it
for
because of the decks
So
are loaded
I'm
with.
not convinced that
with
it's in our
weed
future for sure.
It'll wear and tear.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Scooch up a little bit towards the mic. if you
Okay,
could.
excuse me. Have they approached Rochester Hills?
They did not go for a ballot proposal, no.
Okay,
Too many people there. It was easier for us.
Correct.
The threshold was much
At this
lower for
point, so-
Rochester.
got it.
And Rochester Hills kind of like Southfield, and they approached Troy's fighting them, but the reason Troy's making it look like we said no, well, they put bad language in the Troy ballot proposal and it got rejected legally. So they messed up themselves. They didn't mess up here, but there they did. So Troy's taking credit, in my opinion, for stuff that they didn't have the right to say no, but then it wasn't written right, so it couldn't be accepted to go on the ballot, not this time. I'm sure they'll fix it. But
So 2 years from
Auburn
now.
Hills, I think, got at it, and I think they might have said, yeah, we're probably gonna pass, so they might be writing their own ordinance. I'm not positive. I'll have to talk to Tom, but Grosse Pointe. There's a whole bunch of them that they targeted, so we'll see. But Rochester's not yet.
I have a
Wait.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Only Rochester residents can vote?
Correct.
That's correct.
So I have a business in Rochester,
Mm-hmm.
and I live in Rochester Hills, and I have no
Wah,
say.
wah, 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 wah. Only people that live here, sorry. So this is
Change my address to my.
too late, you gotta do that beforehand, yeah, la, 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 la. My favorite problems are the ones that are foisted upon us that give us no control whatsoever, and then we have to deal with this debris. Kids right now. So bottom line is that our job as, stewards of the downtown is to advocate for our downtown. And when are the absentee?
Next Wednesday, I think they go out.
All right, so what I'd like to do, and we can continue to talk about it, but I think it's important that this board take a stand with respect to, our feelings on this particular issue, and I'd like to do that by way of, us having a,
Roll call.
just having a resolution saying that, whatever, we were either for or against it. But I don't know if I've had enough time, or if we've had enough time to sort of digest it. We're just sort of talking about it now. And the reason why I asked the question about the absentee ballot, those of you that don't know, as soon as the absentee ballots go out, essentially half the election is decided that day, because I love all my old people. They vote like immediately. They pay their bills immediately and they vote immediately. As soon as that thing comes in the mail, boom, and it's gone. So that's why it's important to get the word out as soon as possible. And that's sort of happening behind the scenes. But
It was no surprise, no secret. Very good strategy, because next Wednesday, everybody gets them, they got that survey, everybody got. It didn't say dear resident. It said, my household said Kimberly. I'm like,
yeah.
So they
mine said
paid to
Paul.
do
No,
that.
the question's, I like weed or other, basically is the way it's written. I don't know, it's sort of insane, but,
And I have another question.
yes, ma'am.
So I have nothing against people who take this for medicinal reasons, whatever. But I'm opening a cooking school for kids right downtown.
That's my name.
What constitutes a school? Because we're
K
gonna have.
K through 12.
Oh, it has to be a
And
state.
they're clever about that also, because there are many preschools in the churches, but they don't count. It's K through 12.
Public schools, yeah.
K through 12.
Yeah, so we're not dealing with rank amateurs here. So these guys have done their homework, and that's fine, that's okay. But we're doing ours too, so it'll be fine, everything's fine. So the main thing I'd like to sort of do, so really three things. I'd like to, at least if everybody's at a point now where they have an opinion one way or the other, and you feel like you would want to make a recommendation as to a position statement, I don't know if the position statement would vote on it, or I think we probably should. But as to what our thoughts are, or just not even touch the hot potato, I don't know.
So my suggestion is if the board would consider this, and certainly Nick kind of chime in, if you want to rally around, if everyone seems to be on one page or the other, then, and with things that we would like to express in there, whether it's about traffic or whatever, and then I can draft something.
Yeah.
Probably have Nick look at it, and then bring it back to October for the board to
Well, I
vote
want to
on
have it sort of
officially.
out there I absentee ballots hit.
Well, then I think it would have to be a simple motion
Yeah,
that then I
so-
can type into places to say this is at the September 20th meeting of the Rochester DDA regarding the issue of cannabis dispensaries in Rochester, the Rochester DDA to the following position, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of put a finer point on that, my thought would be, without taking a position on the efficacy and the usage of cannabis sort of in general, our concern is mostly related to the increased volume of traffic and the impact of property values in the downtown district.
I think I heard you say the impact of the parking system itself.
Parking system itself, yeah. So something
Not
along
just
those
traffic,
lines.
but parking is
Yeah.
limited.
Yeah.
The only question I'd have on that is that, do people really understand the magnitude of this?
They don't.
When you say that, it's got some.
Yeah, so I think what I'd like to do is sort of, in this resolution or whatever we're calling our position statement, is sort of talk about the sheer volume that we're talking about of vehicles every day on the streets that are just, they're too slammed as it is right now.
And you can't, this is where I think we have to be careful. We can't say a number. We don't know.
Yeah.
They could say, they could come back and sue you and say, oh, you assumed 1,000 car? Who told you that? We don't know. It's presumed
Yeah.
It's generalities.
So just saying,
Parking,
we're
traffic.
concerned about the impact on traffic, parking, the impact on law enforcement and our ability to
Personally, I'd stay away
Based
from
on
law.
comparable
would too.
statistics
I would stay
from,
away from law enforcement because every single police chief has said there's
And I
zero
just-
problems with any dispensaries in the state so far. That two got driven into by billing, but they didn't get in. So literally, it's not a police issue. So it feels like it should be, but it's not. The facts are, it is not. We talked to every community around here, they're like, no issue.
but it's not, it's unfair to say that we would need new, additional officers for the increased traffic flow. Who knows? Yeah.
Wouldn't you, you're gonna run the statement by our attorney, the city.
Well, we're having a discussion, Marilyn. I don't know if we're ever going to get to anything tonight. That's kind of where
I just
what we're
wanted to
talking about.
ask how you're, as you're gonna.
Yeah, I'm not looking to get sued,
Okay.
right? I mean,
Just to ask.
well, it takes
We're having a-
$150
we're
and
having
somebody
a-
a filing fee, and we're going to get sued, right?
Well,
So I
I
really
didn't-
don't care
yeah,
that
I
much
mean,
if some
just
big
have-
swinging trunk comes in
I
here.
have a point there.
Yes, sir.
I think that it would be fair to express our concern about parking and traffic.
Yeah.
And just stick with that.
based on the relative of other communities, relative numbers expressed in other communities. I think you have to put it in a statement in that form.
I'm fine with that.
Yes.
You need to come up. You yelled at me for the mic, so you got to use it.
Kay Johnson, 137 North Alice. I'd like to ask Roger, since he has a son in Oxford, what has he heard about this problem up there?
I've never talked to him about it, and I didn't know it was a problem until just now, up there. So I have nothing I
Okay.
can add to that.
Thank you. Is Christie going to write up something?
Well, we're trying to decide what it's
Well,
going
I
to be.
know, but I mean, is it coming from this board?
Well, we're gonna-
Or you keep saying "we," and I don't know if you've got a mouse in your pocket or if you've talked to somebody else about doing
Well,
something.
actually, I have two.
Good.
Yeah. No, we're trying to decide what's in it right now. So we're having that discussion, and once we decide, she's going to transcribe it, and then it'll go out.
It's already on Nextdoor or, is it Nextdoor? It's a big article in there tonight.
No, I don't even know what that is, but I'll take your word for it.
It's a
It's an app.
community,
It's an app.
communication.
Like a
Oh.
community app.
Yeah, I'm old. I don't know these things.
I honestly believe that because of that, there's not gonna be anybody, I don't think that's not gonna be educated or ask somebody before even next Wednesday.
All right, so it sounds like
It's
we're trying to jam something that's probably not, so we'll just table it. I think the video of this it will be enough, I think, to help some folks out, so. I mean, we're not, taking a position one way or the other. Obviously, everybody's very concerned, and there's a lot of gray area that, everybody's dumping their problems on us that we have to solve, and, 180 grand's not gonna cut it.
I know the DDA meeting was already scheduled and on the docket, but isn't education kind of like going on right now on the other, across town?
I don't know, I'm not there.
Tonight, you mean? Supposedly there's a meeting.
It's private citizens doing whatever they're doing. I'm not sure. We're not there, so I can't tell you. I would presume that everybody's sort of talking about it and expressing their feelings one way or the other.
So what are you saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's all over Nextdoor, so you're saying it is becoming to be an aware, people are
I
becoming
don't
just now.
think anybody's gonna be surprised that it's on the ballot, so.
All right, well, next door. Now I learned something new
Yeah,
tonight.
go
so-
next door.
All right, I'm gonna,
Me.
yeah, right, all right, well, there you go. Learn something new every day. Well, then we'll have to,
Sometimes it's helpful,
yeah, we'll
sometimes
have
it
to pen
isn't.
something ourselves, I suppose, or one of us shall.
Well, so we abandon this idea?
The problem I think we have, Roger, is it's kind of a gray area, and there's not a lot of time to accomplish it. I think we'll be better served to just sort of, do what we're doing, is communicating with people and getting the word out. The absentee ballots will be in the mail by next Wednesday. You'll have them, and, so our job is to make sure that people know, and, if it passes, and we'll figure it out. If it doesn't, we'll also figure that one out too, so. Mess around and find out, right? We're gonna find out.
I'm sorry, we're not taking position, even though it's a pretty short time.
Well, yeah, we
If
just,
it influenced just a few people, it would be.
Yeah, did you take a position?
I've taken my position, so. See, the problem that we're having is one of, how do I want to say this in a gentle manner, litigation avoidance by people that have much deeper pockets than we do. I had a hard enough time trying to find money to build a town square. I can't imagine what defending one of those lawsuits would be. So we'll just sort of, yes, the answer to the question is yes, in a perfect world. But we're not messing around with
Yeah, I
little guys.
personally, thinking my way all the way through this, anytime, if in fact there's gonna be the people that don't get them suing us, I'm sure they're gonna look back everywhere they can to see who influenced somebody, whether they did it officially or not, to find something to make us crack. So, information sharing, good.
Yeah.
They can't sue us for that, we've been
Yeah.
told that. Positions, who knows? And that's why people sue, because it's not clear. Most people don't sue if they know they're gonna lose, right?
Yeah.
They do it for a reason.
Yeah.
So don't give them ammunition. I would say we had a nice discussion. We're concerned about this. The city's concerned, you guys are concerned, traffic and effect on our parking system, et cetera. So
Right, and then,
It'll be
just
what it
understand, the traffic is the main one, at least
It
for
is.
me. And, once it's in, it's not going away, so.
We're concerned of
You
that.
get one bite at the apple on this one.
Okay.
Do we have any data from business owners of those towns to talk about any increases of business? Do they know for a fact 20 minutes in and out and these people are not shopping in the?
I have not heard anything yet. So
We have a
most of them are just open. There's I think the longest one is like a year only. Even though they passed in 18, it took a long time to get through. Detroit barely got through theirs yet, so I don't think Utica's, they've said nothing but good stuff. They sponsor a lot of things and no issues but I don't think they know how many people come in there to shop at other places. You'd have to do a survey, I guess, so. You would think the argument is more bodies, more money in town. Not if it's a 20-minute transaction. I don't know. Maybe people do stay and eat after they buy the products. I don't know.
Well, go to Dairy Queen, right? Come back up, please. And we're gonna wrap this one up. I think the horse is dead.
I'm back.
Okay.
One thing that I would like to stress is there's a lot of people that think, well, we can't do anything about it because they'll sue us. So we've got to push that note around that if people can get out and vote, we can do something
100%.
about it.
For sure. That is key.
For evil to prevail, all it takes is good people to do nothing.
Yeah. A wise man once said that about something very bad in our past.
All right, you want some other good?
Yeah, let's change gears. Are we good on the weed?
Quick, yeah.
Everybody,
so
do we all need gummies now after that discussion?
Economic development update here. So, things going on new in town, Bitter Times is going into where Pam was, Antiques was, so it's a little distillery from Tom Bosley. He has the distillery itself in Lake Orion. This will be a little tasting room.
Sweet.
For spirits, so that's cool. There's another, Jeremy, remember the name of Eastman. The Eastman will be downstairs below Desert Oasis in Jamal's building. Again, a little speakeasy, like 30 or 40 people can go down there, open in the evening. Talked to Armand at St. 1881. I think coffee's coming in the next 2 weeks. Staffing, it's going great at night. My wife and her sister and my niece are there right now, actually. They texted me. And said, but they had not opened the coffee part of St. 1881 yet, so now he's just about ready to do that. So that'll be great. It's been a good addition down there, so that's exciting. Catching Fireflies is leaving where they're at, and they're gonna go into Sweet Island Yogurt, late fall, probably won't be open until first quarter.
They won't be open until first quarter.
Yeah.
They're not going to make the move. They got to do to take it back from a food shop to a retail location.
Yep, so, but we've got that one going. There's in the beauty vault that never opened up in the third block. A young lady she does permanent jewelry. That's her main jewelry thing, which is custom jewelry, etc. So it's not a Lucido's, it's not a Hague's, it's a little custom place, and I think she's gonna do well there, and she's excited to open up that. Couple realtors, Good Company Realty is taking the Arterra space. So remember we wrote an ordinance, the Roger Knapp ordinance, that you can't have office on the first floor unless you had office and your grandfather did. So Arterra, which is next to Greens, was a realty, so a new realtors moving into that space. Greens is the former Greens. It's unbelievably beautiful. You feel like you're in Manhattan or something. It's like unbelievable. So they're doing real well there. That's a good operation there. And then in the former Zoot space, it was retail kind of slash, not supposed to be a restaurant, but not a great location there. So that's at Properties, which is part of Sotheby's. No, Christie's, big company. They're coming in there. That's gonna be their headquarters, and they're moving into that. Nothing on Moon River yet. The gentleman that bought it, him and his partner got in an argument. One partner wanted to just say, sell it to somebody else. We're not ready to build yet. So there's a for sale sign. Nobody said that they bought it at this point yet. Good news, FedEx was supposedly gonna leave. They signed a 10-year lease. They're staying in their building.
That's great.
So that's good for town. That's
definitely
extremely good. So that's staying there. Can we see what Brad said today?
Sure.
Yeah, so, Kevin and Joe left Urban Merchant to go work on the bowling alley, and I think it's in Clinton Township or Shelby, so very sad to lose Urban Merchant. And Brad was working really hard with Lucido's to expand their space, and just today they called and said, not at this time, so he's gonna put that on the market. So we'll get some kind of retail, I'm sure.
How many square feet is that? Yeah.
4,500.
There you go, it's pretty big.
I messaged Kevin just to let him know his old space was available, just in case, he felt like it. But
Yeah, so the Mosheri plan is Councilwoman Trent said the special exception, the change of the boundary, and the site plan all got approved by the city council. So it's Mosheri / Rewell, they're partners. So the elevator that you see there now gets renovated, not rehabilitated, renovated. It's the best they could do. And then a glass atrium goes on the east side. It's really cool. It's a clubhouse, and Historic Society's working with them to have it be like a little museum almost, so people can come in there and QR codes and tell the story of what's going on. So they're working hand in hand on that, but it is their private clubhouse. 30 units, 3 stories on University, 3 stories on Water. One building's 13 units, one's 6, and then I think 6 more on the backside. 12 more on the backside, which are 2 stories. And they're all apartments. So you rent vertical, 3 stories. Live, work, you can make an office on the first floor. Could be a man cave, woman cave, could be whatever you want. So, but they are rentals, not condos. They can't lease them out to an office. They can have their own office in there, but they can't. The parking was set up for residential, not for office. So it's gorgeous. When you see the renderings, it's unbelievable. It's class. It brings in Lidl's and the train station and the mills. It's the brick and the arches and the limestone. It's spectacular. So Frank Rewall then came in and modified his plan. He's going in October to the Plan Commission for a 2-story building on a gravel parking lot in front of his headquarters. So Mike Plez I'll work with him for a market and a restaurant, and then the second floor is one office tenant of 10,000 feet. So that's going on. I talked to the owners of the collision shop, and they have the cleaners in the collision shop. It's Mr. Lombardo Homes, and Chris Parrott from Dan's. They have optioned that property to build office on the first floor, and then 8 condos on the second floor and 2 on the third floor. So you do the math how big they are, but they'll have their own units up there. So we haven't got it yet, but they're still going ahead. It's a very dirty site, so they're trying to identify how can they get money out of the people that polluted it. Probably not possible. They'll come for a brownfield then, and the city would be open to that. Joey LaChurco revised his plans down by the cement plant when you go around the bend on diversion. So he's coming in with 2 buildings, kind of like an L apartments, and then a partner of his is having him build. They're going to try to do how many condos, Jeremy? 12? Yeah, 12 or 13 by the bridge above them. It's called 251 diversion. So there'll be kind of luxury apartments or condos there at the same time. So we'll see how those go. So that's exciting. Nothing on the Milltown site or Mr. Mosheri's site that's been sitting there vacant. Can I say yours, Tanya? That you said? Yep. So Tanya has another business besides what she does at Victorian Rose, and she has Ratatouille, which is a children's cooking class. So she's been there and been looking for a home with us for a year probably. So former mayor, Kathy Dalton, has Shamrock Travel. She has the back end of her store was leased to a different person than Shamrock. So that group left. Christy put her in touch with Tanya, and I think she signed a lease, so she gets to be on Main Street, perfect. Parking structure right there, it's like really good. So we're excited for you that you get to.
Cupcake wars, birthday parties, and
you go.
pizza baking parties coming your way all
There you go.
weekends long.
Right on Main
Kathy's
Street.
gonna be in her glory on that.
So, yeah, so we're very excited about that. We're working with Andy Sackmeyer. Once that space is vacant, we'll try to find somebody. We're redoing that park. Bart submitted a plan, for Christie to look at, to redo that little park, next to Catching Fireflies. They cleaned it all up already. So that's good, and I think that's it.
Good.
Yep. Any questions?
Never a dull moment around here, so, thank you for that, and, you know, I hate to say all these reports sound the same, but they do, because things are hopping around here. I was sort of worried a little bit when interest rates started creeping up that we'd see some activity back down, but it doesn't sound like it.
A lot of these folks are well-funded. If there's one snag, you saw a lot of construction under Silver Spoon. Ernie's was trying to go in there, and they're just struggling. The buildings it's old, and it's got mold problems and water problems. So right now, they've kind of stopped work. We're not sure if they're gonna keep going or not.
That's too bad.
If not, they'll find a place in town, I'll bet you. So,
Put them in tag.
we got some places, they need big space.
Yeah.
So
Urban
we have some ideas.
Oh, no, I know, I'm right on, yeah, okay. Don?
I noticed that there's a building further down Rochester Road with Wiseman. Yeah,
So they're moving. We tried to get them more space, couldn't find it for them. I saw the sign today. I knew they were going down there. I just drove by it.
Yeah, they've been looking for a larger space for years.
We thought maybe they'd flip over to FedEx, but then FedEx stayed.
Where are they moving to?
They're down, right in front of Dunham's. There's that new little strip center. They just put the sign up today.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Says
All right.
Wiseman
I mean,
Center. But I will, one really good thing. So in about a couple weeks, your capital money that you set aside is gonna see the light finally. So we're gonna redo your alleys. We're gonna mill and fill alleys that are bad from University to Fourth, fine, Fourth to Third, a few patches, and then Third to Second, Second to First, basically mill and fill the whole thing, and then coming eastbound up First Street gets redone, and there's a couple patches up by University. So then they'll reseal them all, and then we're gonna put the stripe back in it and put the red back, the pedestrian walkway. So that's gonna happen this fall. So it came in at like $57,000.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
It's easy.
A question on the brownfield, that's us, right?
No, we have our own brownfield authority. It was when we
No,
first
but
started.
it will be a tax capture pull from the DDA.
Correct. So, yeah, the one on Main Street would be, you guys.
Yeah, so it's gonna come out of our budget, so just, we'll have to kind of
Yeah,
sort
I
of
mean,
loosely
those
follow
two
that one.
taxes are virtually, you would keep the base value, whatever's being paid now, you keep
no,
that, but you wouldn't get the increased value till it's done.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, cool.
Nick,
Yes, sir.
when they do that alley there, and if you have some adjacent, a few feet there, can you work with them to
Yeah,
keep
thank
the
you for
alley
bringing that
going
up.
over
So, for instance, I was driving them myself with Jason, we were marking them. So up at University and East Alley, that's Holly Hung's building, and that cement's busted up, looks horrible. Marion's always complained about it. So I called her, she picked up, said, you wanna pay this guy to rip out, he can't do it while he's doing our job, but at night or whenever they wanna make a side job, just like we do with cement, the cement guys in town, you can hire them separately, but they just can't put us, you can't do it during the day while they're supposed to be working for us. So Holly's having all that ripped out and asphalt put in, so yes, we're gonna send a letter out in the next few days to all the businesses on Main Street. If you would like to get asphalt work done, and you wanna make a side job with them while they're here and mobilized, you save money, so absolutely, yes.
Sweet.
It's a good contractor, it's Bowen, they're really good.
Yeah, it's,
How long does that job take?
Couple days.
yeah, it's literally scraped
Well,
it one day.
It's 2 days, but the paint's gotta dry for 2 days once they do that, so it'll be down 2 days, probably 2 times. So we'll make arrangements, make sure all the businesses know what's going on.
Right. All right, very good. Any other questions for Nick? All right, horse is dead. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, with that, next thing on the agenda is the sick leave additions for staff. So I don't know if you guys remember, but back when we were doing the budget, we addressed this item, and this is sort of housekeeping with respect to that. It's already in the budget. The discussion point back at that time was the DDA staff did not have the same benefits, if you will, as the city, and we're just kind of putting it all together now. So this is just the paperwork to complete that. So if there's any questions with respect to that, I don't believe anything's changed since we talked about it last time. This is just the paperwork part.
No, and as you may recall, the PSD and DDA share employees, the
Oh, yeah, yeah, they
PSD
had to
already
vote on
took,
first.
they
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
took their vote
Yeah.
last week, so they
Gotcha.
did approve it.
That's
so.
right, that's right, okay. So anyway, so this is largely a housekeeping issue. If there's any questions, or if anybody would care to make a motion, that'd be awesome.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and go ahead and give the additional funds to our DDA staff.
Okay. very
I'll
good.
second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Main Street Oakland County Flag Star Grant, Madam Director.
So following up on the Love Local Art Committee that was formed out of goals and objectives, Taylor and the Love Local Art Committee have been working hard, and they were selected by Main Street Oakland County and Genesis to receive a placemaking grant to actually do a crosswalk mural project next spring at Fourth and Walnut. So we're pretty excited about that. We're going to be engaged with local artists. Taylor, in her report farther back into the packet, you'll see that she gave an example. That is not what we're doing. It just shows what could be done. So you'll be hearing more about that as one of the projects that they're going to be working on. So, but she was really excited. It was her first grant application, and she got it. So she's feeling pretty good. She's
One
like,
for
give me another grant. Come on.
All right, 1 for 1, good job.
Yeah, so she did good.
All right, fantastic. So that's good news. Front porch project update, moi. So I wish I had more to tell you, but there were sort of any news from our friends at the county?
So I checked with Oakland County. They have heard zero. In double checking the MEDC website regarding the placemaking grants, they still say that applications are closed and that notifications will be made in September.
Okay.
Not
All right.
early, not mid, not end, just
Well, it's almost end,
September.
so, yeah, right, so September, we got 10 more days.
Yes.
So just as a quick reset, so we applied for federal funding, which fell through, and we're waiting on funding, this additional funding, was it 1.5 million?
This is 1.5.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 1.5 million towards the Town Square project, front porch, but other than no news to report, that's sort of a status check. We will definitely, well, I shouldn't say definitely, we should know by our next meeting, God willing, to the extent anything happens in the interim, if we have to call, a meeting, an interim meeting, we'll definitely do that. But, we're not giving up, just keep, thinking happy thoughts and fingers crossed and legs crossed and toes crossed and everything else crossed. We will get this done, come hell or high water, we'll figure it out. But once we get this piece, then we'll know more, or at least where we stand. So very optimistic and onward and upward, as I say, right? All right, with that, regular reports, Madam Director, your update.
Sure. So this Saturday it seems like it's going to be a busy Saturday in town. There's a lot going on. But at 10 o'clock, you have nothing better to do. You're welcome to come to the Collaboration Studio. Main Street Oakland County selected Rochester as the site for the press conference for the launch of the Shop OC Main Street website. That's the thing we've been talking about for a few months now, that we were selected as one of 10 pilot communities within Main Street Oakland County. It provides shopping platform opportunities for our small businesses in all the downtowns in Main Street Oakland County communities, so that they're able to access e-commerce with no cost to them. So it's an exciting program. They're going to be launching it in September and then building on it from there. There's no cost to any of our businesses or any other Main Street Oakland County communities to participate in that platform. We are working with the county to hold a training here in October. We haven't set a date yet to actually do training, so that if there are people that have already signed up or people that are interested in signing up as well, that we'll be able to do a tutorial with them and walk them through that. And depending on how many people are interested, it'll be either at our place or we'll have to move to a bigger location. So that information is still forthcoming, but we're excited for that opportunity. The co-hosting managers are myself and Kelly from Oxford, who's the DDA director up there. She also happens to be Mrs. Michigan, so she'll be coming in her full garb.
Oh,
We're
dear.
very excited. So,
With the thing
yes.
and everything?
Oh, the whole thing. She's got.
Tiara?
She got the tiara. She's got the whole thing. Kelly's
well,
amazing.
that's-
So look for. I'll be the one without the tiara, and Kelly. So
We ought to have one.
We
for
can
you.
get a tiara for you.
I think we're good.
You can borrow mine, Christie.
Right, yeah.
Perfect. I'll call you. Love it.
This is extra heavy, though.
Probably. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. But for the Holiday Expo, in my report, it says that we are nearly sold out. We are now sold out. So that is done, and that's at the Rail Park on the 13th.
Fantastic.
Earliest we've ever sold out on that, so that's super exciting for us because we are all full speed ahead on holiday things. That gives me a little more time to work on things. Festival of Trees, this is the first year we've ever done this. We have been working hard since July on selling tree sponsorships, which helps the fundraising for the Big Bright Light Show, and we are completely sold out of trees. We literally can't build one more tree this year ourselves. If people still want to donate wreaths, centerpieces, stockings, tablescapes, porchscapes, or trees, we can take those. We just can't build anymore because our committee of 8 is building 33 trees. So just for everyone's sanity and so that I will not be murdered, we cut it off. So no more tree spots.
Santa's workshop
is closed. So we were going to be building some trees. Cocktail preview tickets are going on sale next week. We're doing interface. You know that during COVID, we switched to an online bid system. That seems to have gone really well. Now we're going to integrate the ticket system into that as well. So we won't actually have paper tickets anymore. Everything will be through that site. So when you come in, we'll have a list and it integrates into the auction site, which will be very great, and that's the thing Taylor's working on. And also with Festival Trees this year, Taylor has gone ahead and put in for a raffle license for us. We're going to have a raffle as a part of the fundraising this year. Modeling after other festivals of trees, there will be 3 decorated trees. You can buy a ticket in the raffle for $1 a ticket, and then you can buy as many as you like and put them in a little bucket by the tree you want to win. So in theory, you could win a 7-foot decorated Christmas tree for $1.
Wow.
In theory. So, but we're hoping people will buy lots of tickets and slap them in there. So it's what we're hoping. So we'll see where that goes. Snowman Stroll is still available. The snowmen have arrived. They are at DPW. DPW is kind enough to be holding on to them for us again. We have sold 3 snowmen so far. That means there are 9 still available. They're $2,000. That's $1,000 for the snowman and $1,000 on artist honorarium that goes to the artist. The catalog will be going up online next week. I can tell you that the designs that came in this year were reminiscent of the quality of the sheep designs that we had back in 2001 and again in 2012. Really sharp stuff this year. So if you're interested in art, and then you have the option to auction your snowman off at the conclusion of the event for a charity of your choosing, if you're interested in that, let us know. That is one opportunity that is still widely available. And that's for mine. I can roll into Jen and Taylor's.
Yep, go.
Mainly Taste of Fall has started. I don't know if you've been checking out our social, but it's filled with really pretty pictures. Really great food this year, really good stuff. We extended Taste of Fall and the Magical Mural Tour to match each other, so they both run through the middle of October. Trick or Treat Downtown is coming up, but more importantly, Rochester Post is just a couple weeks away. Our theme this year is Heroes and Villains. So if you're interested, come on down. It's going to be on October 5th and going to be super fun. So
Always is.
Always is. And then Taylor, Kris Kringle Market applications had come in over the summer. The committee reviewed them. People that were accepted were let know last week, so the Kris Kringle Market is full this year as well. We had, for 45 spots, we had over 120 applications.
Sheesh.
So it was a lot. And then we're going to start picking up magazine merchandise next week, magazine shoot the week following.
Gotcha. All right, any questions for our very busy director and her staff?
I just have one.
Yeah.
What was the date of the Festival of Trees?
17th through the 19th.
Okay, and then the party?
The party is the 17th,
Okay.
and then it's open that Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, all right.
And Santa and Mrs. Claus will be there on Saturday and Sunday to meet with kids, and Santa will be there on Friday night to meet with adults.
Okay.
But well, you know.
That's what I got.
That's an interesting way to put it.
100%. Biz Dev.
Biz Dev, we had a meeting this morning, a lot of things happened. Basically, you've covered about 98% of the things that happened. We have different places that are changing, like I said. Is there any place we didn't cover? We talked about the Shop OC, you just talked about that. Is there anything that we didn't cover already for that?
One thing that we haven't mentioned here, it was at our last business development meeting, is typically at the end of the summer, early fall, Nick would do his annual business development meeting. It's run by the Business Development Committee. Because we were waiting on Front Porch to come through, because we knew that was going to be a lot of the bulk of the questions, because there's always one featured project, and we were hoping it was going to be that one. The committee decided to push that meeting into January. So January, early February, we'll host that, because hopefully then we'll have the news about Front Porch and where we're going and what we're doing, because we know that's going to be a big topic.
All right, anything else? Nope. Site?
Nothing new.
Nada.
Nada.
All right, so just, well, we just heard about the alleys, which is good. I'm part of the infrastructure committee, so, trying to stay on top of that, so nothing really major to report. There's stuff that's already in our budget, but, trying to coordinate those things is always a struggle, please.
So there was a parking advisory committee yesterday
Yeah.
that Bob Bloomingdale attended, and he had an update.
Oh.
Yes, so there's some consideration, the parking decks, not the meters, but the parking decks, the software is going to become basically obsolete October 31st, if I remember the date right.
That is correct.
And mechanically,
It's fine.
mechanically, the
Jesus.
things are shot.
We just paid for a new stuff like 2 years ago. What the hell?
It's like buying a laptop.
I
It's-
guess.
By the time you get out of the store, it's obsolete. Anyhow, so mechanically, they're shot. They have to service them several times a day or at least a week. And bottom line is they're looking at, and the money has been moved around within the parking fund to make it available, but they're looking at replacing the software and the gate system for the garages. There's some discussion about whether the new system will be cashless. So, us old guys that like cash we're getting crowded out. But I certainly understand it. That machine that they have now, one of their major problems is it gets jammed up all the time when people try to use cash. $10 bills seem to wig it out completely. So, and then the police force goes over there, they raise the gates, and then everybody runs out for free. So, it's a mess, but that's gonna get rectified pretty soon, it has to. And then the other considerations are, moving the paid parking hours from 9 to 9 to moving it to 11 to 11, to capture some of the nighttime crowd in paid parking. And did I miss anything? I think that was about.
I think that was most of it. I would, if you're interested, I'm sure that I could ask the chief if he could go ahead and submit it to us. He put together these beautiful binders because it's a great opportunity since Chief Rohib hasn't been here. Isn't familiar really with, he's never run a parking system before. He really has fresh eyes on the whole thing. So he did a deep dive and came in with a whole binder with tabs. We're all like, oh my goodness, what is this? But he really, from a perspective, he's like, okay, that first hour free is costing us $66,000. So what does that mean to us? Okay, we're leaving money on the table for people that are in town after 9 o'clock. We don't have an ordinance officer patrolling after 5, and it's well-known, so we're losing money there. So there are a lot of other, like, little things beyond the immediate need that the parking system, the deck system won't be able to be updated after October 31st, that software, and that the decks, that those systems have been failing. Then I think there'll be another proposal, working with PAC, coming forward to city council saying, now that we have the gate system figured out, overall for the parking system, this is the chief and PAC's recommendations of how we can streamline and make it more efficient.
Gotcha. So at least from my perspective, so the parking fund got some pretty decent COVID money from the government, so hopefully there's enough set aside for this particular maneuver.
It does seem so.
Okay, all right,
good,
because
good.
I'm just, if all of a sudden it's going to be hat in hand, we need to sort of get out in front of that.
Yeah, I don't think that's it. My understanding is that, other than the software system and the gate system, which they have money for, I think they're looking at new revenue-generating
Yeah,
opportunities.
okay.
I think it might, that's.
Yeah, no, the
that's-
committee's great, and, Anthony and everybody's on top of it, so I just, but I wanted to know that if, there's going to be an ask, we ought to be able to at least get out in front of it and figure out what that is.
I haven't heard that yet, but I can't say that's not coming.
Yeah, no, I
But
know.
As
It's
far as I
always-
know,
It's always on the horizon, so you just never know.
as far as I know.
Make it clear too that the cashless thing is for the decks only.
Yes.
Not the meters.
Yeah, I mean, I use the app, see, I do use apps, and there was one, I use the Park mobile app, so it actually works great.
Bob, do those garages generate to cover all expenses or no?
I can't answer that. I don't,
I feel
not
a
that familiar
shaking
with
of
all the
heads,
numbers.
no. Don't
You
know
think
it.
it's no, Ben?
I saw it down the other.
It depends. During COVID, it certainly wasn't, because it cost us about, $750,000 to help it come.
Yeah. I think that it's starting to break even. I don't think it's a money generator, and because keep in mind, they still have bond debt on the decks. The one thing that was interesting, when we were talking with Glenn Wilhelm from the Roxy about the other issue, he started telling us that actually, we haven't seen his busy season yet. His busy season is fall, winter. Because even though he was programming in the summer, a lot of people still go travel, they go away, doing things outside. So I don't know that we've seen the revenue impact of the Roxy on the parking system quite yet. I think that's coming. And then I think that will really give us a true picture of
Yeah,
what
it's not like
that looks
Birmingham where it's an ATM. I mean, literally, it's like
Yeah.
$4 million clear every year in
Yeah.
Birmingham for.
But once they pay off the bond debt,
Yeah.
then that's a different story.
Sure.
But we're still a while from
Does
that.
Birmingham have like we have the first hour free?
It's hour or 2 hours?
2 hours.
I think it's
In
2.
Birmingham or here?
There's 2. We used to be
Birmingham's 2
2 and now we're 1. And George evaluated that for offering that 1 hour free, we're leaving $66,000 annually on the table.
I think if this dispensary goes where the House of Rock is, that's gonna be a lot of wear and tear on that garage. They're there for 20 minutes.
So my understanding from Nick, because originally Glenn had come in to say that he was planning on trying to put a dispensary there, I think he's backed off of
He's
that
backed
now.
off that.
He
That's,
has.
as of this morning, that's what Nick had shared with us, that I believe he's not gonna be pursue that opportunity now, because absolutely, that would have really challenged.
I wonder if
given
he's
us a
the
lot
one
of
who's
parking
moving to the
challenge.
Tide Cleaners now. I don't know.
Well, it's just, I mean, all roads lead back to the weed discussion apparently.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah, it's sort of, and with respect to that, it's, to the extent that you need more information, both proposals, both ballot initiatives are on the city website. They're very easy. You can download them, and ask the city clerk for a printed copy if you need one. She'll be more than happy to give that.
And both Leanne and Nick are very open if you have more questions.
Yeah, for
And you
sure.
wanna call, feel free, or send people to the
Yep.
city, so you can get the right thing.
Yeah, and we're just like everybody else. We're just trying to gather information and make informed decisions, but our job is also to make sure we push information out, and we're gonna do that also, so. All right, with that, any other additional comments from the, fine folks here? Seeing none? Oh, wait,
Everybody should come visit one of these meetings, it's very informative.
Thanks, Linda.
We try really hard. We're the hardest working, unpaid board in show business. Meeting adjourned. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Meeting unadjourned.
Very much, but I have a big class to teach.
You just yell, so.
Thank you so much.
I would like
Thank
to
you.
know why there's not free parking for handicap stickers and the parking structures. There's no way to,
So
a senior citizen.
So I think that might be able to be fixed with the new parking system because it's gonna have QR codes. So I think there may be something that people could download. I'm not sure how all that's gonna work, but we're gonna have a lot more mechanisms at our disposal with this system. The one we have right now is really basic, super basic.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, onward and upward.
Ben, you have a problem. No one likes something. Jump down.
Well, no, it's the NIMBY. You guys, they rolling. They got all this money, and they're like,
What's that?
"Well, we're putting this where you want."
That's what drives you nuts the most.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Invite whoever you want. Oh, Tony said bring whoever you want, man.